will serve first in this fourth round matchup here. Men's singles Australian Open.
Fault.
You'd imagine, Ryan, that Davidovich Fokina has to be a little heavy. I mean, probably likely it might take him a little while to get going.
Sometimes when you're starting out, you can have that heavy legs. As the adrenaline gets going, you loosen up a bit, but early stages, you can be a little flat. You can see that power behind Davidovich Fokina, quickly moving out to his right and snapping the forehand off. One thing I'll be paying attention to is his return positioning is quite far behind the court. He can't let that ball drop too short. Tommy will be all over it if those balls from back in the court are dropping near the service line.
It's a good start from Tommy Paul. He holds comfortably and is on the board. We'll use that opportunity now just to check in with Roger Rashid. Roger, it's warm courtside. How's things?
Well, you know, if you prepare well, you're fine, Josh. Okay, so I've prepared for the majors, and I turn up here, and it's just a little bit warmish, but it's not too bad. The reality is, it's summer. You've got to play in these conditions. Will it have an effect? Not now, but it may have an effect when you're 3 hours into a match. So we'll see how both players are. I know Tommy's had a big off season. I do like Tommy here because the ball's so lively and it's bouncy. You need a variety in your game. I like the way Tommy can transition and come forward and play at the net as well. He's got that flexibility in what he does with the game. In saying that, the Spaniards, you know, they've got history here. 5 sets a couple of years ago. The Spaniards got a big game. He can be a disruptor. But for me at the moment, I'm slightly leaning to the American.
All right, thanks, Rog, and great to have you for this one.
Going to be really important for Fokina to have a high first serve percentage today. Tommy does such a good job of not letting you have too many unreturned serves.
Can you pinpoint why Davidovich Fokina just struggled the last sort of couple of seasons, especially when, as a young player, he burst onto the scene. He, got up to mid-20s in the rankings and really looked like he was going to push on higher, almost top 20.
Yeah, to me, he's a confidence player. He's a guy that likes to take it on. He likes to rip that forehand, and he doesn't really have a ball. He never holds off a ball. He's always green light whenever he has the opportunity. And just at times when his confidence drops, he starts to misfire. And then, like you said in the pre-match, the emotions start to pile in the wrong direction. You can see him get visibly frustrated, starts playing really fast in between points.
This is going to be an important shot, I suspect, today, Ryan. The backhand down the line. He can just burn the player who's edging over to the backhand side, looking for forehands. But he just redirects, change direction really well.
That's exactly right. For a forehand player, they're always hanging out a little left of center. Critical moment here early on.
And this is exactly what you're alluding to, Ryan. His ability to build sustained pressure, Tommy Paul, by making so many returns.
He has already 5 for 5 returns back in the court, and that's just a lot of pressure to be under right out the gate.
Well, you need a little bit of luck once you get to this stage of the game. So that is the first break for Tommy Paul.
And you know what we saw just there, exactly what I was illustrating with the variety from Tommy Paul, his ability to just manipulate his hands. He was caught off balance there, had to go back to his backhand side, not really getting a step, but was able to just use his wrists and hands to smother the ball. Love that about a player if they've got the ability to create when they're not in control or in position.
Tommy Paul, when he breaks early, goes on to win that set 86% of the time, which is above the tour average at 81%, so good signs early.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like a really high number. And as we get a look to what the conditions are, Raj, how's the wind down there courtside? Is there one side that's particularly favorable compared to the other?
No, it generally will come from the Spaniard side of the court, but there's not a lot in it, to be honest.
It's nice and cool, Rod, here in the commentary box.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Would you like me to bring you guys a drink? With a bit of ice in it?
Yeah. We sort of flagged this start, didn't we, from Davidovich Fokina? We just thought he might be a little slow, but there's only so long you can keep giving away big leads at Grand Slam tennis, and eventually it catches up with you.
Especially against a player like Tommy Paul. We know the talent of the Czech player that he was able to overcome in the previous match, but Tommy much more experienced.
It's been a fabulous start here on Margaret Court Arena. Tommy Paul, our 12th seed. 3-love first set. It's uncomfortable. So just a few clouds in the sky, but no sign of rain. It's a very warm day today. The warmest we've had here at this year's Australian Open. And it's a red-hot start for the 12th seed, Tommy Paul, off to a flyer. 3-love first set. Davidovich Fokina just trying to get on the board here.
Well, in his previous match, Tommy raced out to a 3-0 double break lead against the other Spaniard he played against in the third round. That match was actually brought all the way back to 4-all, and he had to suffer through a tiebreaker in the first set. He did get through that first set tiebreaker, but I'm looking to see if he's putting an emphasis on how to play with the lead in this first set.
And this is what Davidovich Fokina is capable of. Once he gets on a roll, he's very capable of reeling off consecutive winners, taking the ball early. He He's more of an aggressive Spanish player. A lot of the Spaniards typically are a little more deeper in the court, but he does hold that baseline well.
Well, the forehand's a huge weapon, particularly when he's going cross-court. He whips the outside of the ball nicely, and a lot of his winners will go to the side where Tommy Paul's forehand is. It's a natural stroke production that allows the ball to be whipped over there.
Better game from the Spaniard. He is on the board. Davidovich Fokina. Tommy Paul leads 3-1.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, coaching, I was very strong about the first set and what it looked like at 5-set in majors, especially when you get to this stage of the tournament, because, or at any stage, but it wasn't do or die, but I had a big emphasis on my player coming out hot and ready and sticking their chest out, because there's so many psychological battles that you deal with, and coming from a set behind, they're accelerated.
Especially in really warm temperatures like we're experiencing here. Around 33 degrees at the moment. And Ryan, I just wonder, when you talk about the rally, the cross-court forehand from Davidovich Fokina, or I'm just wondering what rally position Davidovich Fokina will be wanting to look for, or to get into a rally that he feels that he can beat Tommy Paul at.
Well, for me, it's all going to start with the depth from Fokina, getting that ball near the baseline, which will then in turn push Tommy a little bit further back toward that Melbourne sign, which is 8 to 10 feet behind the court. And after that initial shot that backs Tommy up, then he can get up in the court and start working the ball outside the angles. But if he leaves the ball short, Tommy's not a player who's just going to make random mistakes from short balls without much on it. So he's going to have to get, especially from that deep return position, a lot of depth on the ball to neutralize the point.
David Munoz on the right there. Davidovich Fokina's coach. Did a little bit with Fernando Verdasco last year as well.
Recently retired Fernando Verdasco. He played all the way till he was 40 years old, I believe.
Yeah, it was an incredibly long career. Won that epic match against Rafa here. 6-4 in the 5th set. A round of 16 match, I believe. 2009. So a break-back opportunity here. A little bit of a loose game here from Tommy.
Just a couple last serves that flew on the first serve, opportunity for second serves, and getting good depth on the ball. Tommy just looking at his coach, Brad Stein, saying the ball was skipping through the court a little bit. We've talked about the courts being faster this year. I don't love that first drop shot attempt of the match coming on break point. Your opportunity to break back when he was well up in the court, and Tommy Paul is a very quick customer, so having to hit that drop shot absolutely perfectly.
Yep, smart play. Takes it early, goes back in behind.
Advantage.
It's a little slip on the foot as he was caught a little wrong-footed. We hope he's okay here. Looks like maybe the hip got jammed up.
Game.
So it's a good fight back there from Tommy Paul.
Paul leads by 4
Survives a
games to 1.
break point and leads 4-1 first set. So just a little bit of a look. This shot goes back in behind and it's just a little bit of a slip with his body weight going the opposite direction. And Ryan, it's one of those sort of, I guess, feelings you get where you just want to just do a reset or a check to see where you're at and then try and walk it out a little.
Well, you feel a little twinge, and sometimes when adrenaline is high, you're not quite sure exactly how it's going to be in the aftermath. So you do a little self-testing. You could see him lifting his knee up and putting a little pressure on it, just seeing how it responded to the force, but it appears he's okay.
So Davidovich Fokina here, just a little bit of a sluggish start, and just you can see just trying to jump around, get the energy levels, the intensity right. Just a little bit of a slip in that last game as well, but we know this man has come back from 2 sets to love down and won in 5 sets his previous 2 rounds here. Do you think there comes a point where you just, it hits you? I mean, if you're Davidovich Fokina, all that work you've done, not just physically, but just the emotional and mental toll, it might just catch up at times.
Well, it definitely does, and you just feel it in certain little aspects. You wake up, you feel a little bit drained. You feel like you might have even a slight headache at times if you're not getting enough hydration back in your body. It's really important to be hydrating on these off days and post-match, getting all those nutrients back in your body. You have to really dig deep and go through all your power to get through these 5-set matches.
Do you think he would have hit any balls yesterday on his day off?
Very little. Sometimes you want to just get out there and do enough to work through some of the soreness, and active recovery is very much a thing that we talk about in the sports terminology. It's getting the body loose and active again. You don't want to just sit in bed all day.
You probably feel like sitting in bed all day.
You definitely do. That's beautiful.
Yeah, he's in trouble here, isn't he? 1540.
Well, Tommy's not getting any sort of let up here. He's sensing the moment. There was that little slight hiccup in the last service game where he missed a few first serves. But this is where we talk about Tommy being fleet of foot. He moves to the right, but he gets there in so much time. He's able to quickly zip that behind Fokina, who is just a little indecisive on if he wanted to get up or back in the court. Tommy now 2 break points for double break.
That's a little bit of a gift, isn't it? A 5-1 lead now, and Roger, it's pretty solid, isn't it, from Tommy Paul?
Yeah, he's got the ball's coming at him at a nice height as well, so there's no sort of, the speed's comfortable, the height's comfortable, so, and there's a few unforced errors. It's only 20 minutes as well, so that's refreshing for Tommy Paul when he thinks he may have one in the bag. I'm a little bit different, actually, Ryan. The minute my player has a 5-set match, we're done the next day. It's
no hitting?
No, there's no on the court. As you said, you want your body to be doing something, but take away the stress of being on the court. You've hit enough balls. That's a hard thing to tell a player as well.
Yeah,
they feel like they need the rhythm.
Well, Raj, would you leave it up to your players if they wanted that active recovery to be on the court or in the gym, or would you just maybe take charge and say we're not doing anything?
Yeah, I'd take it out of their hands. Only because you've got to, what's the reality? You're looking to play your best and most fueled tennis match day. You don't win anything on the off days, so I guess it's just changing the psyche a little bit.
Gee, I'm finding this an interesting tactic. He's done this the last 3 serves, a big kicker wide, which is getting up high in the backhand.
Well, he's won 83% of first serve points, so just recognizing the importance. And rising to 85 now, so Fokina not really making a lot of headway when Tommy Paul does land the first serve. It's only been behind the second serve that he's been able to create a couple opportunities, and Tommy's smartly taking a bit off to get that first serve in.
Well, there you go. He's almost done and dusted in this set. He's not going to worry about chasing Davidovich Fokina, just walking after that return. That's got to give Tommy Paul some confidence, doesn't it?
Absolutely making a mental note of that if you're Tommy.
So that is a tidy opening set for the 12th seed Tommy Paul. 6-1 in 22 minutes.
And there's the other side of this is how does a player cope mentally? Some people can put it in a compartment and they've got a high resilience level to any pain that their body endures. Others, it plays on their mind and that becomes the key competitor.
Yep, that's right. It's a bit of a worrying start in this opening service game. He's dropped the first 2 points and we'll learn a lot, won't we, in the next few minutes, I suspect. Oh, that's not going to help either.
Well, it was the ball off the net that secured the first break in the opening set, and that's definitely not going to go in Fokina's way to already be up an uphill battle and having the net cords go the way of Tommy Paul.
So that is the first break. The roll-on continues here on Margaret Court. Tommy Paul, 6-1-1 love.
Well, exactly what you want to do when you see an opponent taking a medical timeout off the first set. You try to get out to a fast start. You try to break their spirits even more. You can see the grimace on the face of Fokina.
Do you think there'd be a thought of, do I continue? Should I continue? What do I do here?
Well, he's never retired at the Grand Slam level before. You obviously want to leave it all out there at this stage, especially in the fourth round. All the points, all the money, and if it's not something that you feel like you're going to make significantly worse by staying out there, if it's not an injury that you're going to further tear a ligament or a tendon or anything that could get substantially worse, you want to try and leave it out there if you can.
30 love.
Well, it definitely doesn't look quite right, does he? If we look at the first serve unreturned percentage, only 18% of the time is Fokina getting a free point on serve. So Tommy Paul doing exactly what you want to do whenever an opponent is laboring and making nearly every return.
Well, you can just see he's looking towards his team for a bit of guidance on what he should do. I almost feel like he's asking, should I stay out here?
Yeah, it did seem like that was the question. They're on the furthest end of the court from him. He's in one corner, and they're all the way in the far end other corner.
Yeah, let's see what transpires. And he needs to decide, okay, what's my game style? What's my game plan? At the moment, he's sort of meandering, sort of just being out there. He needs to either go full tilt, full power, try and keep the rally short, but be aggressive. And he is all over the shop at the moment.
You would think if Tommy breaks, there's definite look on his face here on courtside that almost resigning.
Yeah.
You would think a break of serve here might lead to it.
He's just that split second slow to get set, isn't he? He can't get into position quick enough.
Well, he's also taken his mind off the game. So his game's actually his mind is definitely not focused on the game. So I just try. That's why I was talking about what is an athlete's resilience level like.
One of the few return mistakes. And one thing I'm looking at here is Fokina only has one net approach today. And Josh, when you're looking at how to shorten points, coming in the net and using your transition game as a way that you can apply some pressure without having to suffer through long points.
It just looks, Ryan, like when the body and the mind is not willing, it just looks like it's not happening here. Well, 6-1, 3 love. Let's just see what happens here. Looks like he's going to go on over here, Ryan, and have a chat to his team to consult on what the way forward is.
Well, I don't think this will be a strategy talk. This will be about what he's feeling and if he should stay out there. You don't want any permanent damage or long-term damage. So it's Davidovich Fokina here in a lot of trouble. 6-1, 3 love down. It's a double break as well in this second set. And if you're just joining us, he slipped a little bit early in this match. It was in the first set,
and just struggling to really push off. Combined with the fact that he's played 2 back-to-back 3-setters where he was down 2 sets to love and had to win the last 3 sets in a row. He's looking every bit of a man on his last legs here.
Well, do you put Tommy Paul in, say, your top 3 or 4 worst opponents to play whenever you are feeling a little fatigued or injured?
Yeah, you'd have to, because he's not going to miss much. He's just going to run you from left to right, back in behind, and just be rock solid. That's what Tommy Paul does better than nearly anyone.
I think of maybe Alcaraz, De Minaur.
Yeah, those
in that category,
yeah.
the top few.
I mean, this is a bonus for Tommy Paul as well. You get a match like this in the 4th round. In deep trouble here at 6-1 for love.
I'm not actually sure why he's still on the court, to be honest. You're set down, you're a double break, you're athletically not being able to challenge with your body. So do you just go through the gears, or are they thinking about how would we, from this position, if you're his business model, how are we getting out of this? What are we going to do to get out of this? That would be my conversation. Do we think we can? And he's got to be the person, the Spaniard, who believes that he's prepared to put it on the line. I'm not sure if he is.
Well, do you have a candid conversation if you're in the coach's corner, Raj, and just say, you know, flat out, if you don't think you're going to be able to put up a fight, then there's no point in staying out there and risking further damage?
I would ask him if he's a believer. Right at this point, are you a believer? Do you think, have you got it? Just put it, bit of accountability. I don't like the going through the motions. If you're a believer, great, let's stay out here and see what time does. We don't go against, we've got no clock. We're not racing against time. So if you're a believer, yes, stay out here and see if you can make something happen. And but put your mind, put your total focus on the opponent and the competition. Remove the energy of you that's taken up by the injury, and then see what that gives you.
Well, there are a couple moments where you might think that conserving energy would be okay. If you're late into a 4th set and you're down double break and you know you're going the distance and it's a hot day, then maybe you go into a little bit of shorten the points. But at this stage of the match, it's really just like, are you going to try and find your way to get some momentum going at all?
I mean, you watch this ball, he is meters away from that. Not that he would have got to it anyway, but miles away from even running for it. Well done. Davidovich Fokina is on the board in this 2nd set, but it's all Tommy Paul. 6-1. Paul. So 4th round action here at the Australian Open on an incredibly warm day here at Melbourne Park. Just after 4 o'clock local time, and temperatures up around the 33 degrees. It's a lot hotter courtside. This court has been in full sun all day. Retains plenty of heat, and it's all Tommy Paul.
Out. 15 love.
Well, it just gets the feeling like he's going to walk through the rest of this set and then maybe try one little push in the beginning of the third set.
Yeah, that's what I suspect. I mean, it doesn't look good though.
Out. 15 on.
He's going to need a miracle to win 3 sets in a row. From what we've seen today, you would suspect.
Well, first couple matches coming from 2 sets down. There's no way his game plan was to get down 2 sets, right?
No way. Last round, he was down 2 sets to love, down in the third set. He's down a break deep. Jakub Mensik served for the match, then had match points in the breaker in that third set, and then just staged a great comeback.
Well, do you maybe sense a bit of contentment with the fact that he's made the second week after overcoming some of those hurdles early on, just almost like this is a great result after coming from down in a couple different matches, and he's okay with this performance?
Well, it's hard not to when you're ranked 65 in the world and you're into the 4th round. It's a big rankings boost, isn't it? He'd be probably inside the, possibly up around the 40s or in high 30s now. So it's got to feel pretty good. It's a good start. Fair bit of cash in the 4th round as well, which helps. That's the mental battle, isn't it? When you're fatigued, your body's aching. And another game rolls on here for Tommy Paul.
Yes, I'm going to try and not sound bitter at all when I mention how much the prize money is now for the 4th round berth in the Australian Open. It's been quite incredible how much of an initiative the Tennis Australia has taken with bumping the prize money up, and I think we're over 400,000 for the 4th round. Is that right, Josh?
Yep, it's 420,000. You win today, it's 665,000, so it just keeps going up, and I think they've done a great job early rounds, particularly qualifying. I think that's fantastic. A lot more prize money in qualifying and early rounds. I love that. $72,000 if you lose last round of qualies. I mean, he's just picking large targets here, Tommy Paul, hitting into the open court. Just forcing Davidovich Fokina to just almost baiting him to run, but we're not seeing the run.
I wouldn't expect it until the start of the third set.
Let's see if we even get to the third set. Who knows?
Well, I would suspect that the only reason to stay out there right now at this stage is if you want to see if you can try and empty whatever is left in the tank at the beginning stages of the third set. But if he's getting broken here and Tommy Paul starts out serving the third set, it could be a really, really strong uphill battle from there.
So that brings up 3 set points for Tommy Paul.
Only 49 minutes into this contest.
And he's had to
I'm not complaining.
He's had to do very little, and so have you, Roger.
Game and second set to call.
I'm not convinced he's going to stay out here. 2 sets to love. Tommy Paul.
Out. 15.
Well, if he's not going to put up a huge fight here, I don't see the point.
So that's the average rally length, Ryan. That's
not much past the serve and return.
No. And really the only reason why it's closing in on 3 shots is just because Tommy Paul has made nearly every return. So that's definitely swaying the stat. I would say it would be closer to just a 1-2 or just a serve on the Tommy Paul side. Well, no problems in the opening service game. In fact, any real games. 6-1, 6-1, love.
Well, you'd have to think that this is the game, right? This is the do or die situation for Fokina. If he's not able to hold and he goes down a break, you might think that he'll either throw in the towel or just finish out the match to not have a retirement under his belt, a slam. He's doing a little bit of a jog, a little bit of a shuffle, just maybe one last test to see if that thing has something left in the tank.
Love 15. Love 30. Love 40.
I mean, these feel like match points. I mean, I can't see the point.
Yeah, what's the point of continuing on if you're not going to give yourself a chance?
Out. 15, 14.
So that is another break
Colleagues,
for Tommy Paul. Looks like he's going to stay the journey.
Yeah, I was interested to see if he was going to walk forward toward the net or backwards toward the fence after that. Not that he needs any help, but new balls coming here for Tommy Paul.
So both players just walking over. They'll just get a fresh, restrung racket with the new balls, especially when it's hot and lively.
Don't know why the Spaniard needs one. Isn't it interesting? I think we found out a fair bit about him. We don't know how severe the injury is, but if you're still staying out there, it's not brutal. And if you're prepared to exist on the tennis court, so I just think he was not able to put it aside and just try and throw everything at it, and that's why we're at this stage.
Davidovich Fokina's fiance, Paloma.
Well, $420,000. Does that in-store a ring upgrade potentially?
Should. I think so. Maybe an upgrade on the honeymoon.
That's potential, yeah. Honeymoon upgrade, car.
40-15.
They did it in style, Ryan. Got engaged at the Trevi Fountain in Rome. So, all one-way traffic. 6-1, 6-1, 3-love.
Well, at this stage for Tommy Paul, after that tough 5-set match in the opening round, to now be looking at back-to-back matches with 3 straight comfortable sets, you would have to think that the amount of times elapsed between when he started the tournament and today, where it's been almost a week, a little more than a week since that first round match from him playing his quarterfinal match, he should have body fully recovered, fully fresh and fit going into that quarterfinal matchup.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, that's... And just, I think mentally, Ryan, just knowing that you know, this is basically a walkover effective, but being comfortable with that. So Tommy Paul just 3 games away from a quarterfinals berth here at the Australian Open. It's been Davidovich Fokina who has battled fatigue, injury, and possibly the heat as well a little bit. Just hasn't been able to get it going today. A little bit of a slip in the first set. Got some treatment, got a medical timeout.
I thought you were going to say battled himself as well.
I think that voice, that inner voice is chattering very loudly at the moment about whether you stay out here, what do you do?
Well, as we saw the total points won
30 all.
graphic come up, and Josh, do you know what the total points won percentage was for Roger Federer for his career?
Yeah, wasn't it 54%?
54% for winning as many matches as he did. So that tells you how tightly contested these matches can be, even for the best of the best.
Well, I think Novak's the best in it. His is just maybe 54.5 or something. Or I don't know if it's 55, but it's, you know, it's such a fine line, isn't it? It's about winning the right points. And when you look at this, this has been a demolition, hasn't it? 65 points compared to 27, and another break point.
Deuce.
Well, it's a bit of an awkward position to be in if you're Tommy, because you feel like the showing sympathy and empathy for the opponent is something that you don't want to be a disrespectful person out there. You don't want to be unsportsmanlike, but you also have to try and just keep driving that knife further in whenever he's still out there. Always found it to be quite interesting in that match I was telling you about, referencing the match I played against Raonic at the US Open when he stayed out there, and I was still trying to stay pumped up and fist pump a little bit here and there as he was playing throughout, and I got a question after the match about if it was rude of me to be showing positive energy.
Not at all. You're doing your job. Especially against a guy who had the biggest at the time, possibly the biggest serve on tour, so that's dangerous.
Appreciate that, Josh. I didn't think so. I thought that was the way to handle it, and that's the way I would advise most people to try and put up their best fight.
Plus, players can get a second wind. Not saying we're going to see it today, or I don't think we will, but
Advantage, Davidovich
can happen.
Fokina.
Well done.
Game,
That
Davidovich
is a
Fokina.
game for Davidovich Fokina. The crowd
Call leads, West against 2.
just a bit of dialogue going on here. I don't think you can stop now.
At this stage, you're 12 points away from the finish line. If you retire,
yeah, I think you've got to see it out now that you've stayed on the court this long.
15.
we just saw a slight fist bump from Tommy Paul there, and just a subtle sign of not letting up. Tommy Paul in the New Balance gear with the Philadelphia Eagles NFL team color. They're playing in the postseason tomorrow morning. I wonder if Tommy will be tuning into that.
40.
He's a strong supporter, always outspoken about his NFL roots.
40-30.
Well, back to Juice. He had a break point to go up 4-love. So it's been a little better here from Davidovich Fokina.
This feels like the game. If he's able to break, we might have something interesting on our hands, and if he's not,
Advantage call.
And the errors are just, they're large, aren't they? That's almost middle of the net, an error. That's not a close miss.
he's just refusing to move. The feet are not getting anywhere near the position he'd like to be in to be set, and that's why you're seeing the mistakes have such large variance.
It's just a bit of a dip here from Tommy Paul, just struggling. Certainly not struggling, but it's more just a slight loss of concentration. That's what it looks like.
It's a good serve. I like opening up the court there and giving yourself some safe margins. I wonder if he'll go with the kick serve wide here, open up the court again. We've seen him do that a couple times under pressure.
Yeah, he sort of just takes a bit of the pace off, and he's got good height. It really does jump high off the court. It's a good play. Yeah.
Oh, Fokina was walking to the bench.
Sure was.
Use.
It's a great serve for the clay when he gets there, Tommy Paul.
Well, it was well outside the court. Fokina actually hit a really nice strike on the backhand return down the line.
More like it. A break point.
Advantage, Davidovich Fokina.
Well, that's what we were saying moments ago. It just gets a little interesting if you make a couple mistakes and the guy slaps one or two big shots.
Use. Advantage, Davidovich Fokina.
Good response there. Important to keep the first serve percentage up. We saw the power that Fokina possesses whenever the second serve is on his racket, so you just want to try and keep that first serve percentage up. A couple landed first serves, and I would suspect we'll see Tommy Paul navigating his way through the game.
Advantage
He just
ball.
drops it, gets the line, so a game point now.
Game ball.
So Tommy Paul really takes the
Ball
umpire
leads
out.
by 4-1.
Davidovich Fokina there. But Tommy Paul, 2 sets to love and 4-1. Well, you would suspect it's the final stages here of this 4th round match when you look at the scoreboard. 6-1, 6-1, 4-1. Seen a little bit of glimmer of hope in the last couple of games from Davidovich Fokina, but it's all Tommy Paul here, just trying to get over the finish line.
15 love. First serve. $15. Out. 15-13.
Roger, you're in the position and you're Fokina's coach in this situation post-match. Are you having a little bit of a go at him? Are you having a talk with him about why he walked through this match, or are you going to leave it entirely?
Good question. I think you need to address the fact that if you did continue, why weren't you all out for a period of time? And then, as you don't know their relationship, I mean, it's been quite baffling that as Josh, we were saying, that no communication coming from that. So who was it left to the player to make this decision? And if so, why are we still here? I'm sort of, that's been quite baffling to me, because there hasn't been a legitimate period where there's been this push just to see where it's really at.
Are you suggesting that at times when you see your player reach that moment of confusion or battling themselves, that you almost take it out of their hands and make the decision for them?
Well, when you can communicate with them, I think you need to just know where they're at, and he should know his player by now. There are a lot. There's a period of adjustment when you get hurt. You try and navigate it in your mind and sort of process, what can I do, what can't I do, what can my body do on the tennis court? And then you go, okay, that's what I've got to work with now. How can I find a game that actually is competitive? And then just keep zoning in on that and push. And if that doesn't come off and you feel like you've got no options, well, then you've got to make choices.
That's some good stuff from Tommy Paul.
Advantage ball.
So another break point.
Imagine, boys, if you're in a boxing ring and you start off and you've just, after the first couple of punches, you've just strained your wrist. You don't just sort of retire on it. You need to find a way how am I going to protect myself? I'm going to get KO'd. I need to find some way.
Well, if you walk through a boxing match, you'd be taking a true beating by not defending yourself at all.
Let's game call. Call leads by 5 and 2.
So I think we can ring the bell. It's nearly done. 6-1, 6-1, 5-1 now. Hour and 25 minutes. Tommy Paul serving for the match.
Out. 15-11.
Oh.
15-11.
A little bit of luck, a little bit of a shank return. Not quite sure he meant that. You'd be thinking about the flight home, I would imagine, right about now. Davidovich Fokina. It's been a good run. But it's about to end.
30-15.
You feel a bit for the fans who have bought a ticket to go out there and watch the match out here on Margaret Court Arena. They would have been hoping to see the resilient Spaniard that they were hearing about through his 5-set wins early on in the tournament.
I mean, the only benefit is that they will likely move a match in here, so they'll get a bonus match given how quick this has gone. They might be able to fit one in before the night session, so that's the one bonus, but it's been a big bonus for Tommy Paul, that's for sure. He's at match point. And it's a dominant display from Tommy Paul. Just dropping 3 games today. His opponent was down and out really from early on. There was no coming back from that.